Going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Just Absolutely Boxing Podcast. I'm Combo Breaker 99.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Boxing P.
And we back in the house with episode 68. It's fight weekend again, P.
Yeah, man.
We got a big fight, It's kind of been in the middle, 50-50. A lot of people, hardcore fans more so anticipating. I feel like some casual fans is kind of going under the radar. Talking about Shawn Porter versus Danny Garcia. This is the WBC welterweight title fight. Ever since Keith Thurman, he's been out with the injury. He finally vacated the title. So instead of this being an eliminator, they just went on and made this a title fight for both of these guys. To me, it makes sense, because like I said, this takes some weight off of Keith now. He doesn't have to go in there feeling like, hey, I owe both of these guys a rematch, which you don't. You know what I mean? Neither of these guys are number one contender now. You can't have two number one contenders. So I just feel like this is a good way to kind of hash it out. So whoever wins this title, whenever he gets right, he can go back in there and fight for that title again and get that one deserved rematch out of the way. But how'd you feel about this fight when they finally solidified it, man?
Like you said, Dan, it just made, sense for these guys to go ahead and, fight each other and Keith Thurman go ahead and get the winner, of this fight. It just made sense or whatever. But I mean, before we got online, I was saying how the fight, I don't know, it doesn't seem to really be garnering a big buzz or got a lot of steam behind it. And like for me personally, it wasn't a fight that I was necessarily excited about, but it's a fight that it needs to happen because it's going to dictate what happens next in the welterweight division or whatever. So it's definitely a fight that, needed to take place.
Yeah. I'm kind of 60-40. It's kind of like a scale with me because I feel like, yeah, it needs to happen. But yes, it needs to happen because, yeah, we need to decide who gets that next fight now. It kind of decides. It's kind of like Triple G Canelo. It decides, what happens next in their division, in the welterweight division. And I kind of say no at the same time because I can kind of see how Danny Garcia handled a big full-fledged welterweight already, whenever he was in there with Keith Thurman. But in a way, this is good for him because this is kind of his redemption to that and say, let me redo things. I can still handle welterweight, because his best days are at 140. Let's be real,
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of names on his resume at 140, but ever since he's been at 147, it's kind of been like not a standstill, but it's been a little bit slower. It's just been kind of like they ain't coming as fast as they usually do, and I think that's just kind of what do you think it is, man? It's kind of like, it just kind of makes you think. It kind of makes you think: can you handle welterweight like you believe?
Yeah, like if you was to run down, some of the names at 140. And then run down the names at 147, it's definitely like a big decline in competition. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, you move to 147, when people move to a division, we feel like a guy feels like this is a better fit for him and they're ready to go to that division and make some noise. You know what I mean?
Make the same moves they did, right?
Yeah, make the same move. I mean, yeah, like you say, okay, the weight that you were at you might outgrow that weight. That's possible. These guys are young men still growing or whatever. So when a guy moves to a new weight class, we expect him to go to the weight class and make some noise. I mean, it's not like these guys are old. Like a Roy Jones thing. He was late in age and moved up for one heavyweight fight. That's different. You know what I'm saying? These guys are young, still in their prime, should be mixing it up. So. I really see a drop in the competition when he moved to 147. I mean, they run him down at what was it? Rod Salka, was that at 147 or 140? I think that was still at 140.
I think that was still 140, but there's been a couple,
Was Rios at 147?
147, yeah. Rios was at 147.
Okay, and who else?
There was a Vargas that he fought at 140.
147.
Right before the Keith Thurman fight. That was like a tune-up fight, but again, people were kind of bashing that fight because they said it was too easy. It was actually below the level of fighters he was fighting at 140, so it kind of puts you into the question, is it that lack of competition, or is he do you think they really believe that he can handle 147 with his skills? Because you saw what happened when he went in there with Keith Thurman. I don't really care what people say. You know, people have been saying like the fight could have went either way, but that was a one-sided boxing match in my opinion. You know, once you go back and look, 8 rounds of 4, 9 rounds of 3, and that kind of shows you how he handles a full-fledged welterweight. So I can kind of see maybe, you know, people in the background, part of his team telling him to make wise choices, you know, now that you moved up. But as a fighter, you can't do that, you know.
Exactly, yeah, but you can't be calling out the top dogs, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, if you want to be at 147 and fight at a certain tier of fighters, that's cool, but you can't be calling out like the top dogs and trying to be in that mix and not expect to mix it up. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
Especially when you're fighting for that WBC belt. People are going to be after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You know, like I say, if a fighter just wants to be a certain type of fighter, that's fine. But like we say, when we hear guys talk big and unification and, you know, I'm the best in the division, we need to see some backup to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to. Because when I go back and look at him at 140, I always saw that as kind of a comfortable weight for him. You know, when he would go in there and fight some guys, I felt like he had the skills to handle these guys at the weight. Even then, you know, he had competitive fights.
I mean, he did.
A lot of people felt that Mauricio Herrera beat him.
Yeah.
Amir Khan was, you know, landing shots before he got in, you know, his couple hard shots and, you know, scored a knockout. But overall,
he had about two, three
questionable fights, right?
Questionable fights.
Some questionable fights,
no question. You know what I'm saying?
And those being at lower weights make you say that, sometimes you might have to stay in your lane. You know, I know you want to be destined for greatness, but like I asked you before, like, do you have to move up in weight to be great? Not all the time, right?
Yeah. And everybody's not going to be great, eh? Everybody can shoot for it, but everybody's not going to be great. You know what I'm saying?
They can be good, you know, but not everybody can be great.
Yeah, everybody not, you know. So,
So with Danny, it's just like making this move again to try to prove something that he can be, you know, be a welterweight champion. Let's say if he does get past Shawn Porter, do you see longevity? Because he even stayed, you know, moving up to 154. So do you really see like longevity with his type of skill that he brings?
I mean, think about it, and it's gonna be like this. The fans are gonna have to tune in or come to your fights, and if you get to be known as somebody who not putting on good fights, I mean, you talking about moving to 150, it's not going to be no fights at 154. You know what I mean? It's still a business, dude. It's still a business. And if you're not putting on good performances, you know, who's going to continue to come out to support? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that because I'm thinking, all right, well, what if he did move over to 154? Well, he not fight nobody at 147. So at 154, he not going to fight. That's not really interesting to me. Yeah. You just moving up weight classes just to move up. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you ain't really made the statement that you can handle 147 to make us say, oh, I want to see him at a higher weight. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't, when he moved up to 147, it wasn't the same type of fireworks like when Bud moved up. You know, like some people say the last champion was Jeff Horn, but you see what he did to him.
He did to him.
You know, you see what he did to him. So
at his first fight at 147, it's not like, all right, this is his, you know, he fought a complete nobody. He was a world champion. He did go 12 with Manny, and you see what Terrence Crawford did to him. I mean, come on, man, you can't even deny that, man. You know, you can't.
You can. That's what I'm saying. Like some fighters, you can kind of see what roads they taking, and the road that Danny Garcia is kind of taking right now is kind of hard to see. For me, it's just kind of hard to see him stay on it, just because I feel like sometimes I don't feel like he really is ducking. I think it's just himself. I think it's his team telling him, you know, you need to make certain moves. You know, they kind of looking after him because they know he's a money man. So he is kind of a money man.
But for how long?
But for how long?
For how long?
For how long? So
I mean, because it's like this, and I mean, you know, at 147, you're not guaranteed to fare well at 147, dude. I mean, the Errol Spence fight is you gonna be the underdog. You know, Keith Thurman rematch. You know, more than likely you'll be an underdog depending on how Keith looks when he comes back. But it's just like I don't really see his stake in, you know, his claim. What could he really bring to the? We already seen with Keith with a top 10 high level welter deals with you, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's only gonna really get stiffer.
It's only gonna get stiffer
after that. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because even like some of these lesser known guys on the even on the undercard, Ugas, you never know. Like he's fighting. He's got a fight coming up. He's on the undercard as a WBC title eliminator. So we still got to see. We don't even know like these guys right here that could give him trouble. You know, because like I said, welterweight is still different than 140. You know, when you start to get in these taller, longer guys, so. These guys with no name, they could still put it on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, he didn't come in and make that statement that I'm willing to fight anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't make that statement. Terence Crawford is making that statement. You know, now the thing about it that a fighter can't fight every single guy. It's always going to be a guy that you can't do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't fight every guy that the guy wants to throw at you.
Yeah.
For Terence Crawford. So now people want him to go back down. I mean, I'm thinking Terence Crawford looking at bigger and better fish to fry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and not to get off on that, but I'm just saying, you know, people calling people out, but it still got to make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to make sense for me to go back down and wait, not make no money. To fight a guy, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
there always got to be some type of significance for it.
If
you're making those moves, man. Yeah, just like that's why I say like with Danny Garcia, I see him taking this fight with Shawn Porter, but that's if he can get past him. But does he really still want that rematch and what it leads to? Because you know it's going to lead to a fight with Errol Spence. You know it's going to lead to that Garcia Spence that people want to see.
And then my thing too, and is like. This fight, I don't want to say they were pressured into it, but what other choice did they have? With Keith Thurman out, you know, what other choice did they have besides really dancing with each other that would be significant? You know, Terence Crawford, of course, that would be good, but he just came into, you know, the mix. These guys been there for a little while, so it was kind of the only thing really. You know, to do because y'all didn't want to mix with Errol Spence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And for a while, it seemed like it was taking a while for this fight to be made because even like as soon as Thurman got injured, in my mind before they even thought of this fight, I was already saying, well, Thurman can't fight both of them again. That just ain't right. You know, they gonna have to hash it out. Even when I was saying that fight wasn't even talked about really. You know, it was talked about, but it was seeming like. Both of them were kind of, you know, apprehensive of signing. You know, even coming down to September, people were still like, when we going to get a date? You know, it's still kind of like either Danny's side, you know, Porter was saying he been wanting this fight, but it was still kind of like with Danny's side, they were still kind of on the fence about taking.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's kind of like Danny was like kind of pressured into this fight. You know what I mean? He shouldn't have been. It should have been no pressure. It should have been something he was easily ready to do, but. It seemed like, you know, when he started looking at his other options, there wasn't a lot of options out there. You couldn't go below Shawn Porter. You can't go below Shawn Porter.
Not at this point, no.
You know what I'm saying? So it was Shawn Porter or
Errol. Or Bud. You know, it had to be one of those three.
You know what I'm saying?
Nothing more, nothing less. You know what I mean? It had to be one of those guys. And I just say, that's why it puts me into the question, you know, just like what is really his direction at 147 at this point, you know? Because, I mean, once he get that belt, it's just going to open more doors, you know.
And if you think about it, and if a guy's chasing money, you know, he say, well, man, I ain't about fighting just anybody. You got to fight some dangerous fights to make some money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because nobody's going to tune in to see you do too many more, you know, B-minus level fighters at this stage in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And with that being said, though, do you think that looking at Shawn Porter, do you think Shawn Porter is kind of overlooking Danny just a little bit? Do you think he can? Think he? I know he's been training hard, but some people are saying that this ain't been his hardest training camp.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so funny for me to just see Shawn Porter with this new energy, you know, being like the vocal guy, and so, is that an act? You know what I'm saying? Is he really concerned about this fight and trying to act like he's not? Think about some of that spawn we saw. Why would they leak the worst possible?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, footage of Shane Mosley throwing some punches.
Yeah.
I mean,
some Frankenstein on.
Yeah, dude. Super.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He could be trying to make it seem that way, but he need to win this fight.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. When they leaked that, my whole thing was like, even with casual fans, don't take that seriously. You know what I mean? And like at the same time, that kind of shows you, you know, what mind frame is he in? You know, are they feeling a little more relaxed as camp? Like this is going to be easier than Thurman? You know, I mean, they can't.
Yeah, you can read that a few different ways. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But and it's just hard for me to believe that Mosley would be in there with anybody on this level.
Training somebody like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just for me, I don't know nothing. I'm not no trainer, but just for me, it was hard for me to really accept that being some work. You know what I mean?
Because we seen old trainers moving better
faster
than that.
I mean, look at Floyd Senior. Yeah, I mean, Roger. Come on, dude.
That's why I say, man, like Shawn Porter, like I think he's just like finding a refound energy, you know, and now that he's fighting for this belt that he's been asking for, you know, he's just been kind of I think he does have more of a goal than Garcia. Is kind of more clear that he's been saying, I want this fight because I wanted to get this belt and try to get my rematch with Thurman. But at the same time, you know, how did you feel about some of the things he said about Errol Spence? Now I think about that. Do you think
with the going back and forth?
It don't really matter, right? Belt's a belt to me, right?
Yeah, belt is a belt. And it's like, you know, how do you really feel? In 1 minute you want the fight, you're ready for the fight. Then another minute, you know, he's not on your radar. You know, how do we read that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody, you know, going back and forth. You know, the thing is, like from day one, Terrence Crawford called him out and haven't really wavered from that. Mikey Garcia, some of these people calling, you know, names and they not wavering from him. You know, to me, that's how you do it if you really want it.
If you really want it,
you know what I mean? Both of those guys, Danny and Shawn Porter, never really wanted to commit to that fight. But you throw a mic in their face, yeah, I want that fight. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's just it's not the same when Mikey Garcia said and Terrence Crawford said. To me, it's not. I don't know. That's my opinion. But you know,
there's definitely like a risk factor in tone. You know, when they that's how I'm gonna say it. There's a risk factor in tone whenever they get to speaking on certain fights, because like to me, Spence, Garcia, they both consider the elite in the welterweight. So one has a belt, one don't. I think I would go for the guy with the belt, you know, just get him out of the way. Like whichever fight would come first, 'cause like I said, at first it seemed Danny was a little hesitant, so I would have said, if he don't want me, I'm gonna go fight Spence. You know what I mean? You know, it was an old belt he used to have, the IBF belt, before, you know, he lost to Kell Brooks. So I'd be like, let me go back and get my old belt, you know?
Yeah, let me go reclaim it. That didn't happen, no.
Or like if somebody asked you, you would always just say, yes, I'll fight him. You know, yes, I'll fight Spence. You know, we never really heard that from anybody yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and that's all people want to hear. If it don't happen, like we say, you know, at least we can kind of gauge what's on your mind. Like if it don't happen, you know, we know the politics happen. You know what I mean? Like sometimes politics happen, and like you were saying, some fights never happen, but at least show some interest that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Some fights don't happen because the people don't really want them to happen. It's very rare that two fighters like, yo, I want this,
Very
and
rare.
it don't happen.
Yeah.
Because when they want it like that, to promoters see money. Everybody see money. Oh, these guys really don't like. They really. We got to make this happen. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, when we go to the heavyweight division, Wilder says he wants the AJ fight, but what does Wilder say? Not now, right? So it don't happen. But whenever, like, I always go back to my man Evander, when he said he want to fight Lennox Lewis, it happened.
Right.
Well, not once, but twice.
Right.
It happens. So saying yes does make a difference.
It do, dude.
It do make a big difference.
You know what I mean? And like I say, the people that really want the big fights are getting them. they getting him. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Floyd Mayweather was able to get big fights. I mean, some of the fights were dangerous. He had to take. I mean, even Oscar De La Hoya was still a warrior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still a dangerous fighter. He was older. He wasn't what he was, but he still would, beat a lot of guys, and it was a competitive fight with him and Floyd or whatever. So it's just like, you at some point you gotta test yourself and take those chances. That's just like my thing with all these guys nowadays. They're not really testing themselves. You know what I mean? They're not, man.
Yeah. Do you think this is a bigger test for Danny than the Thurman fight was?
No, I don't. I don't. I mean, I think it's definitely
just
a totally
different style.
Yeah, I'm about to say totally different style. But Keith Thurman is so gifted and was doing so many things in there. Like, Keith Thurman was hard to find sometimes.
Yeah.
Shawn Porter gonna be right there all night in your face. You ain't gonna have to go looking. You ain't gonna have to. He gonna be right there.
Yeah.
So a lot of little things that had Garcia confused. That Keith Thurman was doing. I don't see that type of match playing out. But it's gonna be interesting, man, because it's kind of, I don't know if it'll happen like that, but it's kind of like that Matisse and Danny Garcia. That was one of my favorite fight, pretty much my favorite fight from Danny Garcia, because in that fight he just looked like he boxed really well. But I don't know if he'll be able to do that in the Shawn Porter fight.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, like, when he was fighting at 140 doing them things, I thought he looked good and he looked comfortable. But, like, now that he's in this realm with the bigger, stronger guys, it's like, can you do that same thing? Do you have that strength that I'll be talking about sometime, not just power, but the strength to handle guys that big, and looking at the first fight, Thurman and Garcia, that was kind of that cerebral fight where he had to outthink Thurman, but Thurman had the upper hand all the time, and he was able to win in that. But this fight is going to be a physical welterweight fight. Now the question is, can you handle physical welterweight fight?
And I don't believe either one, because he's not what I would consider a cerebral fighter or a physical fighter. He's neither one. Danny got that shotgun, that left hook, which really been
taking him there.
Yeah, taking him there. You know what I'm saying? They've really been taking him there. I mean, he's not a guy that I see and say, oh, damn, this guy got a high ring IQ. Oh, he working every ounce of the ring. Oh, he drink general shit. I don't see that with him. And the physical thing, he not moving forward. Danny moving backward. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he moved forward sometimes, but he flat-footed and just pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. What would you describe him as? Like, what type of fighter? Because, some fighters you can, you see them doing their thing. Like you say, Thurman, he can box, bang, but sometimes he'll go straight cerebral and think more and say, oh, it's time to do this, Once I made sure I got all the rounds I need in the bank, I'm going to do this and, take you out of your mind frame. Where Shawn Porter, he's just in your chest all night doing,
Ain't a whole lot of thinking. A whole
lot of thinking. But you describe their styles. That's how to describe it. But what would you call somebody like Danny Garcia?
Danny Garcia, in my opinion, like Keith Thurman is what I would consider a cerebral fighter who knows how to bang if he got to.
Right.
Danny is not a cerebral fighter, but I guess he would lean more to the physical because he got the left hook. That's the only thing he really got. You put him against a wall, he gonna start firing that. Left hand. He not gonna use head movement. He not gonna use footwork to get out the corner. He gonna fire off. So, if I had to put him in, I would put him leaning more towards the physical, but he's not a physical guy to me. He's not the guy that's coming in there throwing guys around. And, Shawn Porter is a physical guy to me. You know what I'm saying? All physical. You know what I mean? He coming in there, you know what I mean? I guess some guys, when you look, what is Danny's style, What is his style?
Like, I want to say I want to say he's more of a technical fighter, but at the same time, it's like there's some things he don't do technically right. Like, it's not the bashing, but there's certain things you notice. Like, even when I'm watching like Emmanuel Stewart, like certain type of way he throw his right hand. He don't have a straight right hand. You know, he kind of loops it all the time. Like even at 140, I kind of noticed that his hand was always going over instead of straight,
Right.
which would have been easier knockouts for him. But I know he has that left hook. But he makes those little subtle movements, you know, just to try to get out. But like I said, those little movements were looking good at 140. But it's kind of hard to say, do you got those tech skills to take up to 147 against a bigger Shawn Porter, you know?
Because think about it, I mean, even at 140, fighting the cerebral guys, I mean, they was landing on Danny.
And they was still landing.
They was landing on Danny,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, he definitely ain't in there thinking, and, you know, he might, you know, doing little things. He is a fighter. He does have defense and offense, all the things it takes to be a fighter, but, you know, I don't see him as that big thinker. You know, in the ring at all, and not the big brawler either. The heart is questionable. To be that brawler, you need that heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Brandon Rios fight. Brandon Rios is all brawler, all physical. You know, Danny was smart enough to box him and just wait for the big shot, and eventually it came, and you know that was that. But Brandon Rios was. The brawler style was coming through a little bit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Through.
Yeah, and I guess in some ways, like I said, he is technical, but he is kind of a counter puncher. But at the same time, you know, that type of counter punching style, it has to be effective at 147. It wasn't effective against Thurman. You know,
absolutely.
He didn't know how to kind of bait him and
because that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And even to be a counterpuncher, you have to set traps. You got to be thinking. You got to be doing things to set up the counter.
And
you know,
you got to have strength because when you go in there with a guy like Porter, he's gonna be coming at you relentlessly. You know, knowing you smaller, but you got to be able to push him off and set up a counter. And I just think, like I go back to he looked better at 140. I mean, 147 is still trouble with Shawn Porter. Like we said, he ain't thinking, but sometimes not thinking, it can be a dangerous thing for Garcia. You know
absolutely, because it's if there's nothing else going on, it's just concentrated physical. That's fucking dangerous, especially when you a guy his size, and I mean he is a fighter. He can throw. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's full steam ahead.
Because it's not like he's a completely. Like my comparison is to zombies. When you see zombie movies, they just keep coming. They're not thinking.
Right.
But sooner or later, they overwhelm you, you know?
Absolutely.
Because when you overthinking and you start panicking and you not understanding what they are or how to get rid of them, then after that, you know, what happens? You get overwhelmed, you know?
And Shawn Porter, that's his style, and he's good at that style. It's not like he's not out there like a bumbling idiot. Punching himself in the head like Tyson Fury, falling all over, flopping around. He's not doing that. You know, it's just straight aggression. I mean, in his mind, it's probably a method to his madness, you know, but just looking at it, just knowing that style, it's not a lot of thinking because you're just coming forward. You know what I mean? More, it's not, you know, I'm taking 2 steps to the left because I know this guy's going to throw the... You know what I mean? It's not anticipating things and really setting things up that, you know, we see other guys, Terrence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather, you know, other guys do in the ring.
Yeah, like you say, there's a method to it because, like, for us, we look at it because, you know, we see the boxing style, like you say, Mayweather and countering and him. He don't want you to set up encounters. He's like, boom, you know, he's rushing you. He's got you pinned to the ropes and, you know, putting that pressure so you don't have to think, you know, making it so you can't think.
So you can't think.
So you can't, you know? Man. But here's a question too, man. Like, how high do you rank Shawn Porter amongst the elite? Really, like, if he thinks of Danny Garcia as this, you know, top guy welterweight, and you know, Porter, he already lost to Thurman and guys like Kilbrook. How high would you rate him, man? Like,
I just think he just got tenacity and, you know, I mean, like we talked about before, will and drive, and those things can win fights sometimes. But as far as ranking him, I would say maybe 7, man. I would say maybe 7. You know what I mean?
And that's just because, I mean, once you look at the rest of the welterweight division, really, who is there? You know, I mean, like we got a good 6-7 good guys. I mean,
but that's what we always talk about, and why they got to fight so we can hash it out. We don't know who was the best people. Earl Spence, people scared of him, and we don't know if he the best because he haven't fought the best at 147.
Yeah. All these styles haven't got put together.
They haven't collided for us to see.
Fully,
once the smoke settles, to see who is number one. And why is he number one? Because he beat this guy, that guy, that guy. Why is he number two? Because he beat these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't break it down like that yet, and because we don't have the data.
Yeah, we don't, because like I said, whenever somebody gets on that path, like say Shawn Porter, we saw him lose to Kell Brook, and then after that he goes lose to Thurman. Like the train kind of stops at points. Everybody kind of goes off again. We got Thurman out, so we can't really gauge him.
Can't gauge him.
Thurman, he can't. Crawford, he already beat Horn, so that's one other champion out.
Yeah.
But the next guy at welterweight hasn't really showed any interest in fighting him, We haven't got a Spence fight in there with these names. So it is hard. That's why I asked that question, like, where can we rank these guys if we rate them so elite,
Yeah.
And
we know that they're at the top of the division, but as far as chronological order, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you wanted to just kind of do it on paper, Keith Thurman would be number one on paper. You know what I mean? Being he stepped away, I guess. To me, you can't just give it to Earl Spence just by default. His resume don't speak of him being number one. People not want to fight him.
Right.
That's a different story.
Yeah, he got a belt, and he destined for it. But I know even himself wouldn't feel comfortable with that, because he's the type of guy that would just go in there. He wants to go in there and prove it. So while Thurman we say is out for like a year, I would say the spot's probably vacant.
The
next guy to fight for it would be Spence. That would be in line for it, and that's why I asked that, because how can we rate these guys? The next part be without a tournament,
without a tournament, without them fighting each other, man.
Like our episode we did last week, we got all the middleweights in a tournament now, so we know everything is set up to be rated after that,
And think about it, Ant. Even if they don't want to do the tournament format, they could do what these guys are doing.
Yeah,
this is our tournament. This isn't being called a tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You called it a tournament, and so once people thought about, damn, it is kind of like a tournament, but it's not in the tournament format.
Somebody had to actually sign them in and lock them in. They all made the choice to say, I need this guy next.
Right. And they got the freedom to do what they want to do after this, as opposed to the tournament. Well, you got to fight the winner of this. You got to fight the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, they didn't need a tournament to make that happen. Man.
Yeah, nah.
Some guys, they need the tournament regiment to fight each other. Yeah. It ain't gonna happen otherwise.
So, some divisions they actually.
So that's kudos to 160 for just making that happen.
Yeah, man.
The people who were serious, because there's some people at 160 who wasn't interested.
Yeah, who weren't interested. It was taking too long, but finally it happened. That's why I just say, man, like this one fight here just needs to kind of happen to see who is the best out of these guys at 147. To go ahead and at least get that part out the way. And I just want to see Crawford and Spence somewhere in the mix too. You know what I mean? Like now that I look at it this way and look how 160 was doing it, I don't really think we need any more build-up fights, I don't think they need build-up fight. I think Crawford and Spence, Thurman come back, throw Vargas in there somewhere, since he's the only other guy that wants to get in there too. Start mixing that up now,
And for me personally, I do feel that, but and I guess I don't know. It just seemed like it's unfinished business with Keith Thurman and Earl Spence. The more time goes by, I'm longing to see that fight really more than the Terrence Crawford fight. Because,
I was.
Yeah, I am, man, because this fight is going to kind of determine a few different things. Because what if, Keith Thurman uses that ring IQ, and because I don't, see Spence is a cerebral fighter. He ain't just a brawler. Well, he's a brawler. I don't see him as a big cerebral fighter. But if Keith Thurman, uses his brain and outbox him, that would change the dynamics of the game, because Terrence Crawford definitely could do it. You know what I'm saying? That fight would lose steam with him and Terrence Crawford, because we can say, well, Terrence Crawford going to do the same thing. If Keith Thurman outboxed him and did that to him, imagine what a guy who, you know, we different people may consider with a higher ring IQ or better boxer acumen would do.
I do to a certain extent. I think that Errol Spence is more of a cerebral fighter. I think he's kind of methodical pressure fighter. You know, he's kind of backing guys up with certain little movements he do to set up the punches he's doing to break guys down. I know there's still some holes in his game, like some head movement things, but he's gotten so dependent, you know, with the power. But he's also using those slight steps and angles to kind of move guys to where he wants to punch them. You know, I feel like he is setting his knockouts up more so than somebody like Shawn Porter. And I think that's what scares people, because he's walking guys into that right and left and opening that body up by making them do certain things, you know.
But a lot of the guys are standing right in front of him, though. What happens when the guy's not there for you to do those things?
They stand in front of him because it's like I said, I think it's a mind thing. They get so fearful and cringed up that, you know, he's able to open them up. Because like Chris Algieri, he wasn't. You know, Chris Algieri is a guy that moves. You know, he's a guy that likes to move around and dance. But as soon as Spence started, you know, stalking and countering and tearing that body up, there was no choice, you know, but to crumble. And Kell Brook, he's a mobile boxer too, and you see what he was doing for certain rounds. But when Spence's calculated pressure started working, it started breaking him down, you know.
Yeah, I still got to see more. I got to see him in there with some guys who really got a high ring IQ.
He definitely needs that resume to see it work on guys.
He's not the brute. He's not a Brandon Rios. No. But I definitely see guys out there that's smarter than him as far as the ring IQ, and I just need to see some more acumen before I can really just see it. I mean, that's the thing about a lot of these guys. That's why I don't really want to see him and Terrence Crawford yet, because they haven't really faced nobody else at 147. It would be cool to see it right now, but you know, so we can see more dynamics. We can say, whoa, I don't know. Well, Terrence Crawford at 147. I mean, Keith Thurman, this did happen. You know, we can make more comparisons. This only comparison we got for Bud right now is Horn, and that's not a lot to gather. And then even for Errol Spence, what do we got to gather at 147? I mean, not a whole lot. No, we got an older Lamont Peterson. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Who else it's not a lot to really gauge a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? That's why, I mean, it sucks. Keith Thurman, to me, just plays an intricate part at 147 that we you know, it sucks. Yeah,
because deep down, believe me, I want to see that fight. I really want to see Thurman Spence. I do, but like, I feel like he hasn't really showed any interest yet in coming back, and we don't know like how long it's going to take to get the comeback.
Or when.
Yeah, is it going to be one tune-up fight? Is it going to be two, you know? Is it going to be this Josito Lopez, you know, and how rusty is he going to be when he comes back is a question, you know, so.
And you know how, like you said, how rusty is he going to be? And I'm just saying, like, if he don't come back, he don't come back. The division got to go on, but it's just like, and you looking at your Monopoly board or whatever, you got your boardwalk place, you got all these, you know what I'm saying? You just got all these good pieces, and I just need to see all these components, you know, what happens once they collide. Because the thing about another thing too is the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight. What if one or the other washes each other? Then that kind of it takes some away from the game, because then we like, well, Terrence Crawford not what we thought he was, Errol Spence not what we thought he was at 147. You know what I mean? Right now, you know, we got the question mark over Terrence Crawford. We got a question mark. I mean, like, these are our elite guys. We saying that, you know, we definitely got Terrence Crawford. We got Errol Spence. We got a healthy Keith Thurman. Those are our elite guys
right
at 147. If they kind of run through each other real quick, it's nothing else left, is it? I mean, because it's just
not really.
It's lower than that.
You see what I'm like saying? I said, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I feel we had our 6-7 guys. Like, we got our 6-7 guys. And once they start to mix it up, kind of like the middleweight division, it would kind of be in the same thing. You know what I mean? You know, we would get them guys in the ring like Thurman, Crawford, and Spence, because, I mean, in the meantime, like, who else can they fight really to make you say they hold that weight as a great fight?
Because see, like, for the middleweight division, there we got the trifecta: Canelo, Jacobs, Triple G. Then we got a second tier. We got Billy Joe. We got
Billy Joe.
We got a Charlo. I mean, he got a 160. You know, we still got like bigger second row names than we do, to me, at welterweight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because after those three names at welterweight, it's just Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia.
Yeah, because, like every time we break down the welterweight, it's just this swarm of sharks. And then after that, once you go to that bottom, there's really nobody there.
No, I mean, it's not to say guys can't come up and work their weights, but I'm talking about like right now. Right now, this in the middowweight division, it's cooking right now. And these guys are in place, and then you got third tier, you got Lemieux and, Munguia, all these other guys who are, just coming around. I mean, so like I say, the competition at the higher level at welterweight is limited. There's a lot of fights that could be made, but I would like to see the smoke settle with some of these top players, and because like once they get but who after those guys fight, who else would we be interested? We're not gonna be interested in seeing them fight low competition. That you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna beat Errol Spence then go and fight a Jesse Vargas. Right. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily.
You got to kind of keep that momentum.
Yeah, going, you got to kind of keep that momentum, bro. So that's why I'm like, damn, at least Keith Thurman, that's one more player in the mix. You know what I'm saying? And I feel the same way you do. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know if he coming back. But I'm like, damn, if he come back, that'll just be a lot better because, he would give us another little component to the game because, him missing is kind of it's not that many fights. Yeah,
because he did kind of set that bar now because he set that bar as far as like the guy that people were wanting to fight.
Yeah, we wanted to fight.
Let's be honest, it would have been like, if Roy had just unified at light heavy and after that had take off for 2 years, people, kind of put the division in, shambles a little bit because then they kind of be like, well, this was my goal, but where we, who's going to fight who? Because this guy that I was going for ain't here, and the fight that people wanted to see is not here. Because like I said, Thurman Spence was the fight I wanted to see.
And so Errol Spence for like, well, I'm the man by default.
Yeah,
I'm the man by default. Is that good enough for him being the man by default? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't think he feel that way.
So that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like Keith Thurman. We need him for a couple different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In the mix, whoever he's gonna come back, we don't know. That remains to be seen. But I would just love to see those guys chopping it up. All five of those guys mix and match and chop it up. When I say five, the Keith Thurman, Spence,
yeah,
Porter, Crawford, Garcia, and then after that, the two winners could get a fight. The two losers could get a fight. The two losers of that fight could go down and fight the lower tier guy. It could
put themselves back in a situation to get a rematch. Like I was supposed to.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it would cultivate the division a little bit more. With some more players in there. But we dealing with what's at hand right now. You say you heard rumors of Keith Thurman coming back at the end of this year, or
somewhere around December. It's still been rumored, taking a fight with Josito Lopez. So I mean, if he could do that fight, like I said, that's kind of going to see if he needs another tune-up fight after that, or where he goes from there. Is he going to be ready to get back in there with the winner of Porter Garcia, so. And
the one thing about that, the one fact we know, the longer he out, the worse it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, the longer this, whatever you want to call a hiatus, whatever you're going through, because he ain't a young man, and it's just time being missed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like we say, the game keeps going, but like you say, it's going to be worse on him because, time... it's a mug. It plays on your body. You know what I mean? You could look good in training, go back in there, your legs gone in the fight.
Gone. So because these guys staying active, they in the mix while you was out for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not really, but so to speak, they was in the mix. They ain't been mixing up a whole lot.
Not a lot.
You know what I'm saying? But it remains to be seen how Keith Thurman gonna come back, man. And like I say, for him, man, like you say, he was the forerunner of the new wave of this 147 division, calling out Floyd, saying he wanted to unify the division. He was kind of carrying the flag for the division, and now, he done riled up the troops in this thing. He got people attention. He missing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was a forerunner for being one of the new younger generation at 147, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you say, constantly calling out Floyd, you know, like you said, he's talking heavy about unifying the division. These other guys weren't talking about that at that time. So, you know, that's why I say we kind of got to see him there. And you know what I mean?
You know, yeah. And you know, he's the only one to blame for that because, you know, like I said, he talked himself into that position. He fought himself into that position. So whether, you know, people are loving him or hate him, you know, he got to listen or respond because now we want to see you fight. Because like I said, whenever he started talking, I was watching, you know, at the time it was him and Shawn Porter, you know, was kind of those guys that were both undefeated that were kind of making noise. You know, Shawn was over here taking guys out, you know, how he took Paulie out, you know, people were just looking, you know, like I said, go back to Keith Thurman. You know, he was beating a lot of these other guys, keeping his O. And then, like I said, he was very vocal about being undisputed. So now that you kind of stop right there at the mountaintop with two belts, now people are saying, where can we rate you right now? You know, are you coming back to be a Hall of Famer? Did you just get two belts to get some money? You know, those are questions, you know, those are questions whether you like it or not, you know. Speaking to him, you know what I'm saying? Those are questions whether you like it or not, people are going to ask.
Yeah, like you say, nobody to blame, you know, but him. But he definitely got us right to the peak and then like kind of just bottomed out on us or whatever. So, I mean, hopefully he can get back in the mix, man. Like I say, I think he would be a very interesting player in that, you know, 147, top 5. You know what I'm saying? That.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. But going back to Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia, how you see this fight playing out, man? Prediction.
What's my prediction, or how do I actually see what game plan they going to employ, or just the final outcome at?
Go with your how it plays out into your prediction.
It's going to be interesting, man, because we already know what Shawn Porter coming with. That's a given. You know what I'm saying? We already know what type of style he's coming with, you know, and like you said, it'll go back to a few different things. Is Danny even strong enough to even stand his ground against that, you know, juggernaut of force coming to him? You know, will he be able to get his respect, get his attention, and make him think twice about coming in like that? I don't think he know anything else but to come in like that. And I think it's going to be difficult for for Danny Garcia to get anything off that would make him feel that way, you know?
Yeah.
And then the flip side is like, not even the flip side, goes back to the strength thing, you know? You know, Kell Brook put the blueprint out for Shawn Porter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but Danny Garcia ain't strong enough to do that. You know what I'm saying? He ain't strong enough to get off a couple punches time. Or, you know, he ain't strong enough to do that. So, I'm coming to a point where it's looking hard for Danny Garcia to win the fight to me. And when I really think about what could he possibly do to, you know, anything can happen. It's always the knockout punch, you know, but, the more closer the fight is getting, I'm leaning more towards Shawn Porter, because I just don't see what Danny Garcia can do to nullify this pressure for 12 rounds. And being how we was talking about earlier too, Shawn Porter kind of having a goal, a vision where he wants to do, and Danny is in the way. Shawn Porter is not really in the way of Danny's goals. It's just another fight, really. It's just a fight right now. You know what I mean? He's not like, I gotta get this guy out of the way so I can get there. That's not, you know what I mean? That's not, you know, priority for these guys. So I'm gonna just go with Shawn Porter by decision. And if the way I'm looking at it is right, I would say Shawn Porter by decision.
Yeah. I guess for me too, like if I can compare this to a fight, I would say I think it could play out kind of like Antonio Tarver and Glenn Johnson, that first fight, where Glenn Johnson was straight up putting that pressure on him, He's straight putting pressure on Tarver, not giving him a chance to counter and anything in certain rounds, But the thing is, the only thing that differs with Shawn Porter is his aggression ain't as controlled as Glenn Johnson's was. You know what I mean? Like, he's still leaving himself open. And I don't think his chin is as good as Glenn Johnson's, where Glenn could brush in there and bum rush you and put pressure and still block shots. But I kind of see it having that texture where he's kind of keeping him off balance so he can't counter, And I think that Garcia is the type to kind of wait too long, and while he's waiting and not moving, he gonna be piling up points. He gonna be piling up points.
Absolutely.
And another thing, it could be like that, but I don't know because he's not a natural welterweight that can actually fend him off. He can't really fend him off long enough to set up counters because Shawn, he's going to know you the smaller guy. I've been mauling bigger guys and putting them on the ropes. Keith Thurman, I've been doing that. So what makes you any different than them,
And he's coming down to make 147.
And so he's coming,
just a bigger, stronger guy.
Bigger, stronger guy. And you coming up to 147. You're still not a natural 147. So I just see all of that being trouble because a guy like Floyd, he usually comes in as the smallest guy, but he's elusive, He's not pinned to the ropes. He's not stiff. He's still jabbing you or moving. But I kind of I don't really see Garcia having in that mind frame to tie up under pressure. Mostly kind of blocking and getting hit on the gloves, which still bruises you, which still causes damage. But I really don't see him tying him up and being able to win those wrestling matches. I don't see him winning wrestling matches with him. So if I had to go with it, man, I had to go with 12-round decision for Shawn Porter, man. Like straight mauled, man.
Yeah. But like you said though, man, you said it's a lot of people out there that think Garcia got this in the bag.
But yeah, there's some people that feel that he can counter him and land that big shot, but he has to have his feet set because he's not a counter puncher on the back foot.
He don't got that type of power.
Not that type of power.
No, he don't got that type of power, dude.
He has to have his feet planted. And as long as Shawn Porter don't give him a chance to have his feet planted, he's in trouble.
He's in trouble, dude.
Because he's not going to move at an angle to get out of there. Because Shawn Porter's, I give him an edge in speed too. He's fast. He's on you before the round.
That bell rings. You blink and you open your eyes. He right there.
And it's something like Thurman said to himself when he was breaking it down. He does that little stutter step, where he's like about to sprint right at you. You don't know if he's coming, but that jab is in your face. And then he's coming in. So I just don't see him really knowing how to control that pressure.
Yeah.
And most of that is, physically,
And that's what I'm saying. Like you said, a more cerebral fighter like a Floyd, and not just cerebral, just more gifted. You know what I'm saying? He just had more in the arsenal to work with and knew how to work all of that well. You know what I'm saying? Danny is still kind of one-dimensional. I mean, both guys are kind of one-dimensional, you know what I mean? We haven't seen them make adjustments and do things in the fight to say, oh, damn, oh, he switched to southpaw, and now, we haven't seen that stuff from these guys, man. So,
because the people that are saying Danny can beat Shawn Porter, they're saying that he's going to land that big counter shot, that left hook. But like I said, you got to be able to set that up on it. And that's the only thing you call with Shawn. You could say he going to use the jab, he gonna put pressure, he gonna use combinations, but a lot of people are saying that, he's one-dimensional, but I think there's more to his one-dimensional.
Absolutely. Because
especially at welterweight, there was more at 140 because Danny could do more things there because he was comfortable, but 147, your tools are different than they are to a certain extent.
Like you say, Shawn Porter, it's controlled chaos, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And that is playing into his advantage, at 147 or whatever. And like you said, so were these like pundits saying this, or these was like blogs, fans who was
a mixture
saying
of
Garcia?
both. A mixture of both. You had some trainers saying that Garcia was going to counter and be able to, box him with 12 rounds. And it all goes down. It all goes back to the good big man at a certain weight's going to beat the good little man. That's what it comes down to, man.
Every time. And like we say, I mean, we threw that on the table too. It's still fighting, boxing, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But those chances are like slim to none of, him getting planted and getting that perfect knockout counter. You know what I mean?
Because Porter, when he was in there with Broner, people got to remember he ain't dropped until the 12th round, right. And before that he was losing. So, I mean, Garcia, you got to be able to do that in the early rounds, right. Constantly. You got to be able to land those shots constantly. And Rios, he was more one-dimensional where he was in his face. But even then, he was landing on, he was landing on Garcia. But finally, that right hand found his home. But overall, I think Shawn Porter, like you said, his controlled chaos, I think it's still going to pull out, it's still going to pull out the win for him because, let's be honest, he's going in there with that goal and saying that I'm not going to let a smaller man beat me. And that usually, that's all you need, man. Sometimes, for a guy with his style, I mean, Thurman even, said he leaned more towards Shawn. I mean, he fought both of them.
Yeah. So. And then, just imposing will. I mean, that's something that looks like, we see Shawn Porter display. Danny Garcia is like, if it's not that left hand, you know what I'm saying?
A long night.
Yeah, it's a long night, dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so, that's pretty much all I really had.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm just hoping for a good fight. I hope it turns out, better than we think. Like you said, I know you said you weren't really anticipating it, but I hope it turns out to be better than a fight of the year candidate. Hopefully,
and I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to answer some questions. That's
help answer those questions.
More where I'm at. What it solidifies for the division next. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I definitely will be tuned in and watching close. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And before we bounce too, on the undercard is Yorindas Ugas. He's fighting, and who's he fighting? He's fighting a guy named Cesar Barrenuevo, but I favor Ugas in that. I think it's a tune-up fight for him to get in there. Yeah. It's a title eliminator, so whoever wins that gets to fight the winner of Porter Garcia, man. So. But I thought Ugas was in talks with Spence at some point too, man. So
I seen that, and then that. So the winner is not fighting Earl Spence. Then if this is a title eliminator, right?
They got a way out now. Let's just say that they got a way out.
You said it. I'm just like, wait a minute, hold up. Well, I thought we was going over. Whatever, man.
Because mandatories usually have like a deadline. They usually let you fight who you want in between, but you usually have like a 6-7 month deadline to commit to that. But somebody might be committing to this.
We'll see what happens, man.
We're gonna see, man. But yeah, man, that's all we got today. On this show. Like I always say, make sure y'all subscribe to us on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We always posting some interesting stuff up there. Whether we joking or posting some facts, about boxing, it's always good to have y'all come through and put some input on there.
Sure.
Shout out to the Facebook and Instagram, responders. Those people who come through. But look us up on, if you go online, Google us, Jab Podcast. We the only ones come up. We the only ones our own lane, man. But you want to say anything in closing, P?
No, I just expound a little bit on, on the pictures and everything. We definitely try to give y'all a variety and a whole gambit of different pitches and looks, all under the boxing umbrella. You know what I'm saying? But we want to. The sport is wide enough to do that, to grab all kinds of people, and it has grabbed all kinds of people. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, man. We definitely trying to cater to everybody that's a boxing fan.
Especially that like crotch face. No bad statement being made of it.
We understand what they were saying. It's just a funny picture, dude. I've been seeing it, but I was like, let me throw it out there because it's just hilarious. You know what I'm saying? So crotch face.
It is, man. But it looked like a little pause moment right there. But I ain't gonna bash UFC because it's UFC fight weekend. I got some fights to watch. You know, at UFC 228, you know, Teron Woodley, he's scrapping.
Yeah,
Fighting that guy Darren Till, that big
Till.
welterweight, man. That's that guy's big, man.
They got some bad blood or something going on, or no? I was seeing some stuff on the blogs. I didn't really read into it.
Just kind of like competition type stuff.
Okay, it
but
ain't nothing major.
Nah, it's a dangerous fight for Woodley though.
But Woodley's still the champion,
yeah,
right?
he's a champion.
Okay,
yeah, he's still the champion.
Yeah,
this is a undefeated guy.
Yeah,
and 6 foot. I want to say like a little over 6 foot, and he just too big for the division.
Yeah.
He having trouble making weight, you know. So
wow.
I'm gonna see what happened here, but yeah, man. Yeah.
We definitely got respect for all combat sports,
all
but
combat
what's
sports.
funny is funny, you know.
What's funny.
Picture, you know.
Yeah, because I'm
about to say that's one thing you're never gonna have to worry about in boxing. Your face will never be like that in boxing.
I would rather take a jab from. I'd rather take a jab from Errol Spence than be in that position.
And like you say, and even if it is a still, I'd rather have the still Earl Spence knocking the sweat off my head.
Off my face, than having somebody like Demetrius Johnson have me in like a compromising position, my ass in there. Never.
All day, man.
But yeah, man, like I said, just make sure y'all subscribe, follow us on the social media. My name is Combo Breaker 99.
It's your boy Boxer P, y'all.
And we out.
Later.